Hello, Tiger families, and welcome to our first Tiger Family Talks of the semester. We are so glad that you are joining us this evening. My name is Lindsay McCrory, and I have the pleasure of serving as the manager of Parent and Family Programs. Our office is 100% dedicated to you, our Tiger families. We want to give you information, resources, and tools to support your Tiger's success. But tonight's topic, we really want to focus on supporting you. This is a little different than what we usually do. I feel like we're always sharing information and resources for students' success, but we know that this has been a big transition for our Tiger families. And so we want you to feel supported and truly a part of the Tiger family. And so we are joined tonight by some LSU parents and families who have been in your shoes and are going to share lots of great advice and just, talk through the experience with you. So we're excited. We have a great roster of webinars that we're going to be hosting all throughout the fall semester. And I'll touch base a little bit on those later on at the end of our session today. But definitely we hope that you can join us for all the other sessions. If you've joined us in the past, maybe you have another student here at LSU, welcome back. And if this is your first webinar, just get ready, get excited. It's lots of really great information and resources that we'll share with you. I want to go over a couple of housekeeping notes. We have the chat feature, and so you can use that to introduce yourself. You can use that feature in order to say hi, hello, ask questions to our panelists throughout today's session, or if you have any general questions about LSU. I will be in the chat, as well as Carly, our graduate assistant for Parent and Family Programs. And then all of our panelists are also over there to help engage with you and make tonight really all about you and answering all your questions and making sure you feel really good and very supported. That's what we want. So we know that many of our families have been hit hard by Hurricane Ida, especially our families in Southeast Louisiana. And so our thoughts, our prayers, our hearts really go out to you and your Tiger. And so if you have been affected, or if you know someone who has been affected by Ida, please let us know if there's anything we can do to support you. We really are a Tiger family. We want to provide resources and support for all of our Tiger families in need. We also will be recording tonight's session, and so we can share it with anybody afterward. If you have anyone that you'd like us to pass this along to, we'll post it on our YouTube page as well, and we'll link it on our website. So I wanted to give you that little tidbit. We also have a link that we're going to share in the chat now for some resources if your Tiger is in need and has any requests. This is a message that was sent out from President Tate after Hurricane Ida to our students. It talks about resources from the LSU Student Health Center. It talks about our LSU food pantry on campus for students who may have food insecurity or need some assistance right now with securing food. We also have our emergency support fund, which is a student emergency support fund that supports our students who are in need, who go through any kind of emergency or disaster, and it provides financial assistance for them. So all of those resources are linked in the chat. Please also feel free to email us or call us or put it in the chat if you have any questions about those. We really just wanted to let you know that we are here for you, and we appreciate everyone's support of all of our Tiger families that were affected. So all of you are on mute right now, but feel free to turn on your screen if you'd like. This is informal tonight. We want to get to know you. We want to have some fun. We want to help you. So definitely turn on your camera whenever you want. At the end of the session, you can ask questions aloud if you want, or as I mentioned, you can use that chat feature. So I want to go ahead and jump in. I want to know where is everybody coming from? So introduce yourself, please, in the chat now. I see Deborah Scott McKenzie already, introduced herself. Hi, Debbie. I'm Lindsay, once again, from manager of Parent and Family Programs. I am from Covington, Louisiana, so just about an hour away from Baton Rouge, and I am an LSU alum. So good to see all of you. And if you want to be sure and select everyone in the blue button whenever you're typing in your response, so that everybody can see your response. And so we know where everybody's coming from. We have them rolling in. So Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Atlanta, Naples, Florida, Ohio, DC, Arkansas, a lot of out of state so far, Pennsylvania, Houston. Hi, Kevin from the North Shore as well. So good to see you. Massachusetts, Delaware, Florida, New York, Virginia, New Orleans, Texas, New Jersey, lots of New Jersey. I love it. Fort Polk. All right, we have people from everywhere. Another Ohio. Thank y'all all so much for joining us. We're just so thrilled that your tiger is here at LSU and hope they are loving their experience so far. So I also want to know kind of how you're feeling. So you can see this little quote, you may have seen it or meme on the screen, maybe about when you were initially sending your tiger off to college, some of the things that you were feeling. I love it. You were check on your tiger friends, check on your families, check on everybody who's sending a tiger off to college. Maybe this is reminiscent of how you're feeling, or maybe you are still feeling this way. Are you okay? Not okay? Scared, confused, excited, worried, sad, upset, doubtful, hopeful, ready, not ready, looking back, looking forward? I mean, there are a range of emotions. So go ahead and let me know in the chat. Rhonda said she is all those things. You are right. Oh, Rhonda, last one. Congratulations. I know that must make it hard too. How else is everybody else feeling? Let us know in the chat. What emotions are you experiencing? I want to know, we want to kind of gauge tonight's topic. Are you excited? Are you sad? Are you feeling everything? Anne feels far away. Hey, that's a good point, Anne, about having them home for a week and then go back. What made it like we're missing them all over again? I didn't think about that. I love that, Dana. Dana, so good to see you. It was hard to say bye twice. Gina, you're all right. Thank y'all for taking the time to share. You can keep putting that in the chat. I'd love to see it. But thank you for letting us know how you're feeling. I like a lot of people saying that they are excited. Definitely. So we wanna go over, lots of great content today. We know you're feeling all kinds of things. Maybe, you are from in-state, maybe you're from out of state, just down the road. Maybe you are 5 hours away, maybe you're 5 minutes, whatever it may be. All of these emotions are certainly valid. It's okay to feel everything. And our panelists, as I mentioned, have been in your shoes. So I want them to dive into really what their experience has been like. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So we know it's a transition, adjusting into your new role, and we'd like for you to get lots of great feedback today. And so we want you to take advantage of this. Ask us any questions you have. Like I said, put it in the chat. We can answer those questions live at the end, but we're just going to jump right in. So I'm going to have each of our panelists introduce themselves. I will start off with Paul.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Yeah, Paul Linneberger. I'm from Grapevine, Texas, which is over by the Dallas-Fort Worth area. For those that aren't familiar, we're about 6 to 7 hours away from campus. I think out of all the panelists, I'm probably one of the closest. And then we also have the benefit of a direct flight. So about an hour and a half direct flight from DFW to Baton Rouge. So that has definitely helped. But our daughter is a third-year junior. She's an animal science major with a minor in Spanish, and trying to go to the vet track there. She is our first and last and one and only. So yeah, it was definitely hard for us because she was the only one. We had a tight unit there. But she did leave behind some siblings. So we have 2 dogs, two geckos, and a bunny in the house. So she left us a zoo. So yeah, happy to participate tonight. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paul. You are our only panelist with an only child. So if we have any new tiger families joining us, and it's your one and only that you sent your precious child to LSU, let us know in the chat. We can definitely identify with that. And thanks for waving. I see you. Awesome. All right. Our next panelist I want to introduce is Jackie. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jackie Elliott from Westlake, Louisiana. We were about 2 hours from Baton Rouge, so not too far. You want to hear about the girls now or later?
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a tiger that is actually in med school now, but she graduated from LSU, and we served on the council while she was here. This is actually my 6th year, and we also have a sophomore. She's 2nd year med school, but we also have a current sophomore at LSU, and they're 4 years apart. So yeah, 6th year to serve, and she is a journalism major, sophomore.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie. Garrick and Sheila.
Hi, I'm Sheila Francis,
I'm Garrick Francis.
and we have a son, Reese. He's a junior, and his major is screen arts with a concentration in production and a minor in music with a focus on experimental music and digital media. And we're from Washington, D.C., and that's about 16 and a half long hours away driving to Baton Rouge. And it's a 3-hour trip on the plane to New Orleans with a drive to Baton Rouge for an hour. So he's pretty far. We have a daughter at home. She's a junior in high school. Her name is Karis, and it's been a little tough for her and us. So yeah, we miss him.
For sure. Thank y'all so much for sharing. I want to just reference the chat. A lot of one and onlys. I like the person who said your fragrance. So I think, did you mean freshman or did you mean your fragrance? I don't know, but I think it's very interesting. I love it. A lot of people saying they're one and only. So they can definitely identify with you, Paul. I'd love to know too, since Jackie said it, Jackie has 2 tigers. So her first and her last are all went to LSU. So technically this is her last. And then Ellen also, this is her last. So I'll have them introduce themselves her next, but I would love to know in the chat if this is your last and now you are an empty nester. Go ahead and give me a shout out in the chat while Ellen introduces herself.
Hi, my name's Ellen Mullen, and I'm from New Iberia, Louisiana. We're about an hour and a half, depending on traffic on the basin, and as long as there's no wrecks, from Baton Rouge. So we get to see our tiger pretty often. He comes home or we go, and so we probably see each other, at least a few times a month, which is nice. He is a junior and he is majoring in business agriculture. And he is my last. I have a daughter who went to UVA and a son who went to Baylor. Guess I'm not supposed to say those things, but anyway, but my son now is actually in his 2nd year in med school in Shreveport. And so, I don't know, he might be with your daughter. And so, yeah, so we've kind of gone through this a few times with our 3 kids, but now we're home, empty nesters, and recently retired. And so it's a whole new world, but fun.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks for everybody who is sharing they are empty nesters as well. John, I really like that the nest is quiet but clean. I am sure that Jackie and Ellen can relate to that. And food stocked in the fridge. If you have boys, I know that's probably not something that normally is stocked. So congrats to you, John. Hats off to you. Our final panelist is Hetty DiCarlo from New Jersey.
Hi, everybody. I'm Hetty DiCarlo from New Jersey. My husband, Fabrizio, and I have 3 sons, Rocco, who is a sophomore at LSU, Nico, who's a senior in high school, and Gio, who's in 2nd grade. I was mentioning earlier, he's class of 2032 for LSU bound. So at any rate, we really just picked LSU so that we could have an excuse to say y'all in New Jersey. So for all my northern families that have sent children there, you now are allowed to say y'all, and it's kind of fun. So we are about a 20-hour drive. We gear our drive completely around the Francis family's neighborhood because of their traffic, because it could take our 20 hours to 25 hours real quick. So, but it honestly is really fun. It's a great drive from the north down there. If you haven't done it, I know a lot of our friends up here have flown down, but if you haven't done it, it's worth a stop in Nashville. It's worth a stop in Alabama. It's really fun to see everything in between. It breaks the trip up nice. And then it's really, I say it's a 9-hour drive. Well, 9 hours one day, 9 hours the next.
I love it. Thank you so much. So Garrick and Sheila and Hetty, they all have their oldest. This was their first going off to college. So I know that Jennifer shared that in the chat, but if anybody else, this is your first student that you were sending away to college or you sent, let us know in the chat too. Love to see that. All right, we are going to dive right into our questions. But as I mentioned, new Tiger families, if y'all have any questions along the way, please go ahead and let me know in the chat. So, all right, first question. What was the transition like for you and your family after you dropped off your Tiger for freshman year? So how did you initially feel, and what was that family dynamic like after your Tiger left? Garrick and Sheila, will y'all start us off?
It was tough. We're a very tight, close family. And so, we were driving back home after dropping him off. There was a lot of tears. And Sheila cried too. And then, our daughter, Karis, they're 4 years apart. They're very close. So it was tough on her and still can be tough on her, but it was a tough transition for us, but he's very happy and we're really glad and have seen him grow, while he's at LSU and we've grown too through the whole process.
Yeah, it's, I don't think I can emphasize enough how tough it is. I mean, I still, I still cry. Even sending him back as a junior, I started about 3 weeks before I knew we had to take him. And I was just like, I'm just gonna miss you. And I just keep hugging him, and I just would hug him, and he would say, I know, Mom, I love you, I'm gonna miss you too. And I'd be like, oh my goodness. So like Garrick said, we are growing. It's slow growth for Mama, but but we're growing, and he's I don't think it's ever gonna change. I'm still gonna miss him, but very proud of him and excited. And Karis, this year was a little bit better. Yeah. For her, but she still misses, and they stay in contact a lot. So
love that. Thank y'all so much for sharing. I'd love to just, since you already kind of said how long did it take for you to feel settled, you never really do, so thank you for answering that one. But what are some of the ways that you and your family coped with the transition? What are some tips you have for our Tiger families who are watching tonight?
I mean, ours was really just to stay engaged with them as much as possible. I mean, he was often running. And so, it was trying to stay engaged. And then for us at home, it was just, we were very involved in elementary and middle and high school, very involved parents. And so, for us, and we'll talk about it, I guess, later, but things like the Family Council, the Family Association, ways for us to be involved in LSU without being overly invasive was really important.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way to stay connected and feel like you're helping to make a difference in your Tiger's life and the lives of other Tigers. And so that's really good. And just honestly, I just stalk him, but that's a different story.
I love it. We're not going to jump into that one yet, Sheila.
Yeah.
I love it. Hetty, since Rocco is your oldest as well, I'd love for you to share next about what the transition was like for you being a first time sending your Tiger away.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was dramatically bad. When I dropped him off, it's a running joke with Lindsay and I that I didn't leave. I think I stayed for like a week. The Cook Hotel still knows me by first name. I think I was shipping stuff there from Amazon, and I thought I lived there, I think. And it doesn't matter if you stay for 5 minutes one day, however long your goodbye is, it's goodbye when you do it. See, he's a second year guy, and I'm already tearing up when I talk about it. I would like to tell you that it's going to get easier. It's not, but you're going to find ways to cope with it. And great ways to cope with it are, if you have kids that are at home, get really, focused on them a bit. You could put more time in with them. Really getting involved with family counts, with, family association, with anything like that at the school really helps, because you'd be surprised when you go through something like a hurricane and you have Lindsay there and you have other parents who are local. It really helps to be able to text somebody and reach out, because our kids are not the best communicators, as I'm sure a lot of our parents here are dealing with. You know, some kids are great with it and some aren't, and they're living their best lives and they're out there having a blast. You've seen what LSU is like. They're having a great time. So you have to kind of, when I get sad, I say to myself, I'm sad, he's happy. And so my love for my son is just like yours for your children. And so live in their joy and focus less on like yourself. And if it is your only child, maybe focus a ton on yourself. You know, maybe use this as an opportunity to get to treat you like your kid, you know, and do some nice things for yourself. But just remember 100%, it's normal for your kids to be calling home and saying they're sad, they miss home, they haven't found their niche yet. They're going to find their group, and they're really going to be living this joyful life. Focus on that and just be happy for them, which sounds silly and simple, but I know all the parents know exactly what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I love your comment about joy. And also you said if it's your only child, focus on yourself. So Paul, I'd love to know, are you and Eva, focusing on yourselves, and what was the transition like for the two of you with sending your only away?
Yeah, luckily it was only a 7-hour drive because it was very quiet coming home. But no, it was always, I mean, it was very tough letting her go. But it was also, knowing that you did the best up until that point and you trust them, to have a good time and start a new chapter in their life. So we were very excited about it. I think for us, I mean, we definitely stayed in close communication with her. Especially I'd say the first month or so. We were lucky in that we saw her about once a month throughout the first semester, whether coming home or going out there. So that was nice to have that connection. But I think the best thing that we did was we connected with the university. And I know it's already been mentioned, but just to know what's going on without being all over her each and every day. And just, if she doesn't call, know that she's okay, because the university is taking, very good care of her. And especially being in a dorm environment, the first year, it's a very secure environment, and the university does a great job. So if you haven't joined the association, definitely do that and get all the communications, but get involved wherever you can as a parent, because that's what we did. We were all in 100%. It was perfect timing for football that we jumped right in because we got championship year, first year. So, but those are the kind of ways that you can connect without, just being too much, in their face. But they're going to get busy. Get to know their friends' parents if you can. If you can find that connection. We were lucky that we had one friend that was from Flower Mound, which is about 20 minutes away from us. So we connected with those parents, and then she had a local friend that lived in Prairieville, about 20 minutes, from campus. So we had good close by support as well, and got to know those parents. So there's ways to connect without just being, again, all over them, giving them their freedom and letting them do their thing. So, and being there to help when they need it, because they get the first, I would say 3 weeks are probably the toughest, for them, that they realize that I'm away from home, away from mom and dad. And so even I would say this year, with the hurricane, she bolted straight home. She was already homesick after the first week. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise, but they're going to feel that in the first 3 or 4 weeks and then find their groove. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Jackie, as a veteran parent who has been doing this at LSU for 6 years, and sending your baby away, what was the transition like for you, and how did it affect, the family dynamics?
So with the first one left, it was tough. But what we realized 4 years later, when the last one left, it was harder, because with the first one, we still had one in high school. And so your focus, well, you're not focused. You're in 100 different places because it's high school. And so you're up, you're sad, but then you're also thinking about other things. Once the second one, the last one went off, I think it was a little bit harder because we were, you're alone with your thoughts. And so, yeah, you have a lot of extra time on your hands. And I don't know, I think that we have traveled now more than we ever did. Our schedule was always given to us by our children, and now it's not. And just to echo like what Paul and Garrick and Sheila and everybody was saying, I make this joke a lot, but join college PTO. do it, because I feel like I'm in the know with everything. You guys are so informative. I know you're just a phone call or email away. I feel like we're connected with the school, and this is our 6th year doing this, but we're very connected with the school. You know, I usually wait for them to call me. Or if it's very important, I'll say, do you have time to talk on the phone? But usually I just wait for them to text or for them to call. But yeah, they do check in. You know, it's girls, so I know that they're a little better sometimes at that. But they do check in a lot. One a little more than the other, but it's going well.
I love it. I love that y'all are traveling and you are doing something for yourself. So that is very exciting. Ellen, you know, you sent your last off to LSU. Jerry, have y'all picked up any hobbies or any, you know, you were tired, but anything else going on that's exciting to help cope with the change?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of volunteering, and we've gotten real involved with things in our city and town. And so we've kind of gotten a little routine going, you know, with just different things that we're volunteering for. And then we've done some traveling too. And so that's been a lot of fun. But I mean, you know, I think it wasn't, for me, it wasn't as hard with Jerry because he was so much closer than my other two children were when they went to college. So I found it was a little bit easier because I kind of knew I could just jump in a car and be there, whereas the other two were a lot further. And so that was comforting. He's, you know, not good at communicating. And so I find, you know, just a little text every now and then to kind of say, you know, and just hearing his, you know, not his voice, but him texting me back and just letting me know that he's okay, helps a lot.
Absolutely. I love that. You're right. Just a text, sometimes all you need. Maybe more than just the letter K, though, a little bit. We want a little bit more excitement. I would love to, a lot of y'all talked about communication, so let's segue right into that. And I know some people are asking, I saw Billo was asking, you know, we call our son every day, should we not, and wait for him to call us? How much communication is too much communication? So I want to know from our panelists, you know, did you set up a communication plan with your tiger before they went off to college, or did you wait and set one up once they were here? What worked, what didn't work? How have you adjusted as they have moved up in their college experience? Paul, you want to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So sorry, we're talking about communication plan. I was looking at something else.
Yeah.
Speaking of communication plan, that was awful. Yeah. So we, my wife and daughter, super tight, you know, texting literally every single morning, and connected on Snapchat and Instagram and all the social media. So she sees everything that's going on and updates me. But we actually, for her first year, freshman year, I asked her to send a weekly email to me, whether she texted or called us, you know, throughout the week or not, which most times she did. But every Friday, I would get just a weekly, you know, email update that said, hey, this is everything that happened in class, and this is who I met, and you know, we went out, you know, whatever night and had dinner or coffee or whatever it might be. And so it's just great for us. Just it diarized kind of, you know, her whole first nearly semester, you know, that lasted, which was awesome. And just stay in the know on what she's doing. But it really kind of just gave her the opportunity just to sit down and type out a little note and send that off, and not feel, you know, like it was a constant, you know, update. But it also put her on a schedule as well. But we talked to her, I would say, fairly often, but gave her space at the same time, you know, just kind of do her thing. And that way she could feel like she didn't have to talk every single day and could still keep us in the know with what's going on. And I think that lasted almost a semester, and it was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm too busy. So, which was fine. We got what we needed out of it. It was really great, I'd say, for the first, you know, month or two, you know, just to know that she had settled and that she went there with no friends whatsoever. Didn't know a single person when she showed up to campus outside of her roommate that they had talked to and selected each other. through that process. And so it was great for her to meet other friends and, get all that and get settled in there in a few weeks, but it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, some people just make friends immediately. She's not one of those. So she gets to know folks before she really lets them in, but it was great for her to build her team. And she's third year. And so her original roommate is still her roommate off campus, as well as the two other friends that they made, immediately out of the gate freshman year. And so they've all been a tight crew. But we still, throughout the last 2 years, obviously stay in touch, closely. I don't get the email updates anymore, but we talk a lot and just kind of stay in tune. But again, staying connected with the university too keeps us in the know as well.
Thank you so much. I love that email. That's a great idea for anybody who's not doing that. That's pretty cool to hear about. And I'm surprised that she even wanted to share what was going on in her classes. I feel like most parents don't get a lot of information about what's actually going on in the classroom. So that's awesome for Luna. Hetty, I'd love to know from you, did you have a communication plan with Rocco? How often were y'all communicating? Did you feel like it was too much, too little? What worked?
Well, I was really touched by the parents who said, are we communicating too much? The thing of it is that you have to do in the beginning what makes you feel best and helps you stay sane. And some days that's really hard. So don't beat yourself up about it. I can promise you, you probably already know that if you are driving your child crazy, they will tell you. What we did, for those of you who have adults, I guess, young adults who are at LSU, who have younger siblings, my younger son who's in high school would, every once in a while I would say, hey, what's Rocco up to? And he would show me Snapchat or something, a picture. I don't, stalk his, but he's on Snapchat. I don't look at it, but I would ask, hey, what's Rocco up to? How does he look? What's going on or whatever, if I heard he got a haircut or something, I would ask for a FaceTime. I really just think, honestly, it's a transition. And so if you can honestly look at it like they are an adult now, off kind of in the world, and you want to respect their space a bit and let them, I can promise you the more space you give them, the faster they're going to adjust and find their groove there. And they are definitely going to call you when they need mom or dad. But I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it. In all honesty, if you're having a bad day or you need to talk to your child, you should reach out to them. I mean, 1,000%. I hate to hear someone say, oh, I'm doing it too much or whatever. No, I don't think so. I would send Rocco a text. Texting has been great because it's not really invasive. He can get back to me when he wants. And then I try to just, if I really feel like I need to see him, I'll say, hey, jump on FaceTime when you get a second and show me that haircut, or hey, whatever. And he almost always immediately will drop me, a line real quick. So yeah, you just kind of have to play it by ear. I know that's not the best advice, but that is exactly how it is, kind of play it by ear and feed off of your guys and let them enjoy it a little bit. One thing that's really critical that I have to tell you that I didn't know until this year is that Rocco told me that he would get upset and feel sad and miss home when he knew that I was sad and missing him, which I thought was really profound and made me think, I bet a lot of guys, especially the men in the group who maybe aren't so easy to say what they're really thinking. And I thought that was fascinating. So now I try to keep it a bit closer to the cuff and have my breakdowns with my friends and always put on a happy face for him, because I don't want him to think that I miss him and then feel sad and miss us.
Have your breakdowns with your friends. That's another way to cope, right? Yeah, I appreciate you sharing all of that for sure. Garrick and Sheila, I know y'all are in a similar situation and maybe got some updates from Reese's younger sister. What kind of communication plan did y'all have in place?
So we originally started off with a plan to check in on Sunday afternoons, evenings. So the plan was every week he would just give us a call, touch bases, and that didn't happen. So it more came into me trying to call him and him not getting back. And so I started just watching him on find my phone just to see where he was in different locations. And it sort of gave me some peace of mind to know that he was moving around and he was alive. And so that was freshman year. And then even towards end of freshman year, like when he got sick and had to go to student health, and he called me and he was like, Mom, I need help. I was like, oh my gosh, he's called me. Okay. So they reach out when they need you. Like Lindsay said, when they need mom, they need dad, they will reach out. And so now our communications has evolved into more texting. Every morning I'll say, good morning, son, love you, have a great day, something like that. And he'll respond. And just seeing that text makes me feel a whole lot better. Just connecting with him even daily. It's better even than just, when I was trying to call him and not getting a response. And so, yeah, so
and we're a little different. I mean, we have a family text. So when she says good morning in the text, I see it, our daughter sees it. So Reese responds to that, good morning. And so we see it. I don't have a running text with him every day or days or something like that. I'll go a few days without communicating with him now, and he'll then call me or he'll text or he'll do something else. And so I know that he's in contact with his mom and he's in contact with his sister, and that's okay. I also, I want him to make independent decisions. And I want him to have to grapple with things sometimes and to, as I said, we've been very involved parents. Some would say over-involved parents throughout his life. And so now it's time for him to kind of spread his wings. And sometimes I feel like, we raised him right. We know we raised him right. And it's time for him to fly, even if we're not quite ready for that. The other thing I will mention too, in terms of communications for folks who are in DC or New Jersey or further away than that, remember you're in a different time zone. Mm-hmm. And so your time might not be their time. And so when you're trying to reach them at a certain time, they might be doing something else. So it might be dinner time or sleeping in the morning. Good morning at 7 here is not a good idea there. So.
No. Yeah, no, and the really cool thing is from time to time he will FaceTime us now, so it's improved from freshman, sophomore, junior year. So we get those little gifts every now and then. So
I think he's gotten more comfortable. At first, I think he wanted to prove to us and to himself that he could do it. And now he's gotten more comfortable with when he needs us.
That is an excellent point, and I think helps answer some of the questions in the chat now of people asking, with their students wanting a little space and, do they give it to them like how, without hovering? So I appreciate y'all sharing that. You mentioned the Find My Phone app, and so I'd love to hear from our panelists next, if you want to touch on communication plan, but also do you have any kind of family tracking app? And then how do you use it? What are the pros and cons? Any information you want to share about that? Jackie?
Hey, so yes, well, just to touch on what we were talking about earlier, Jillian calls about every third day, but we do text a lot. A point that I wanted to bring up is that it's kind of evolved now that she's a sophomore. We have the family group text, we have all of those things, but I have noticed like the girls snap us a lot on Snapchat, and it's because they use it with their friends so much. And at first we didn't like it. We didn't like communicating that way, but I kind of feel like let them dictate like the method that they want to. I still like the phone call, but let them dictate the method because they're more likely to do it if they can do it with the way that, because they may be sending a snap to their friend, but they'll go ahead and add you on it too, if you're cool with it. And you make sure you're open to that. And so when they're sending out mass snaps, sometimes you get on their list and they'll send it to you too. And it's just nice to know, when they're walking to class and they send something that you get it too. So what was the next question? Oh, we use Find My Friends. It's just been since the beginning of when they had their phones, and it never changed. We've always used it. There's never really been a question about turning it off. In fact, they stalk us more than we would with them. I don't check it that often, but they all the time like, oh, you're eating at my favorite place, but they track us more than we track them. And I think we have a really healthy relationship. I try not to say too much about, the location or anything like that when they're somewhere. I think we were talking about something about that earlier, but yeah, that's all I got.
I love that they are tracking you. So maybe empty nesters, if you're traveling a lot or doing things, maybe your tiger will be worried about you and tracking you. That's so funny. Ellen, do y'all use any kind of tracking app, any Find My Friends or Life 360? And do you have any feedback about your comm plan that you had with your tiger?
We really didn't have a plan. We're not really big planners. And so, plus we weren't that far away, and we had gone through it with two others that were a lot further away. And so anyway, he comes home a lot. We go a lot, to visit him there. And then, but one thing I would say is that, I noticed in the chat, some people were saying about different difficulties their kids have been through. And my son went through a huge, huge tragedy and then went back to school. And so one way that we kind of helped him get through that is that every week we call and say, hey, how about we come up and take you out to lunch or to dinner or to lunch, or, for a boy, food is, they'll respond to that. And so anyway, but he never said no. And so in that way, I knew that was a safe way for him to say, I need you guys and I need you to come. And so we did. So I think that sometimes, especially I find with my boys, they don't want to call for help and they don't want to, ask for it. And so if you offer it kind of in a different way, like, or communicate, just offer it in a different way, like we did with, well, we'll come and take you to supper, and he's like, oh, okay. And anyway, it just worked out real well. But as far as tracking him, we do have the Find My Phone, but I know he sometimes, I don't know if he turns it off or if it just goes off. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't seem to work and I don't see him. I guess he turns it off. I don't know. But anyway, I don't look at, I used to look at it a lot his freshman year. As the years have gone on and he's a junior now, I don't look at it very often unless I'm really trying to get a hold of him and he's not answering his phone or he won't respond to a text. And then I'll look at it, but that's probably about the only time now that I look at it.
That's a good point. You've done this before. I like you sharing that. You used to look at it more. I like Anne's aha moment with didn't think of using Find My iPhone. So I love everybody sharing information in the chat and their stories and asking questions. It's been great. And if y'all are not paying attention, Wilma B has some really great feedback. Wilma, you could be one of our panelists too. So thank you for sharing your perspective. I want to ask our other panelists, anyone else have anything to chime in about for the Find My Own or the tracking apps?
I just wanted to mention, I think Sheila was saying it earlier, a great way to stay in communication is like if you have a family group text that you have going. We have one with our sons, and we'll send all kinds of stuff from work. My husband goes and works all sorts of interesting places. It's sort of like, you just post little things on the group chat, and then when they get a chance and they look at it and they respond, it's always like a special treat, so it's kind of neat. And we use Find My Phone also. I don't think my son, we've never discussed it. And my husband freshman year called Find My Phone my favorite show. And I think it was probably my favorite show. I used to watch it all night. And so now, honestly, with a sophomore, I don't remember right now the last time I actually looked at it. It had to be, I think weeks ago. I didn't even check it during Ida, honestly, because I spoke to him enough. And so you kind of get over, I think, that part of wanting to know where they are all the time. And also for any of you that have sons or daughters that have gone into the Greek system, most of the houses ask them to sign up for Life 360. And that's sort of comforting to know, because God forbid, if you ever really needed to, you could obviously, someone knows the location of your son or daughter. So that's kind of comforting too.
And I wanted to mention too, we recently in the last 2 days have been looking at Life 360 as another option, because it gives more detail, and also it is truly a safety issue.
Yeah.
You know, so if I were to go off in a ditch or something like that, this is important. My understanding for that the app will allow you to tell people that you're in trouble without you even needing to do it yourself. It tracks you. So that's one of the things I think that's really
But it's a
important.
conversation. I mean, like Life 360, for instance, your child has to agree to accept it, right? So it's a conversation you get to have about why you want it, right? Is it for safety reasons? Is it just to keep up with one another? Or do some of these other things, like Hetty mentioned, and others, do they, because they're staying in contact, is that good enough, right? And some kids, you know, some of them, you know, our son didn't have a car his freshman year. He does have a car now. So to me, that makes it important for us to be able to kind of keep up with where he's going. If it's an older car, I mean, it's a great car. It's a tank. It's the car we brought him home in from the hospital when he was born. And so it will never die. But but just to be sure that, you know, if he needs, we've helped him go to a local repair shop. We've helped him find places. He wants to drive and see a friend. So he knows now that, you know, somebody needs to kind of at least know the vicinity and where he's going.
Absolutely. Since y'all brought up the topic, we did get a question in the chat. Is it a good idea to give a car to your out-of-state student? When's the best time to do it? So Garrick and Sheila, I know y'all said you did it for his sophomore year. Hetty, does Rocco have a vehicle?
Yeah, Lindsay, you know this firsthand. So when we sent, and this is a great point for everyone who is considering family association or council at some point, Rocco went for his first semester. We sent him down with his old Honda and we said, okay, we'll check it out and see. I went to University of Maryland, so we weren't allowed to bring cars there. So I was shocked but thrilled that he could have a car. He used it a ton. It was great for him to have it. When he came home, we got him a new car, which promptly was hit. And I called Lindsay immediately and said, do you know a good body shop? And she was on it. And she gave us like the best recommendation, literally loved them. They were so nice. Even off hours, you know, called us and everything. So that is one of the best parts of being involved in what I like to call LSU PTA. And if you stay involved, then, you know, you have this outlet where you can reach out to people, and it helped. It really saved my sanity because I didn't know what to do. But yes, I think having a car there is fantastic. I've never regretted it. It's been great, and it gives you peace of mind, especially if you live far away.
Yeah, we didn't do it his freshman year, and we still think that was probably the right decision because, you know, we wanted him to really get involved in campus. We wanted him to walk. We wanted him to bike. We wanted him to get to know that we had no association with LSU before he went, right? When his high school counselor happened to have gone to LSU. And so we really wanted him to engage in the campus, but we did learn later that, you know, when he had, especially when he moved into an on-campus apartment, getting to the grocery store or getting to Target or getting somewhere else was a little more challenging without having a vehicle. And so it was a good idea. Now he lives over in Nicholson, but he works at UREC. And so, you know, and he has a little bit of a different wardrobe. So he has to, you know, sometimes he drives. And so it's good for him to have it now. But his freshman year, we didn't think he was ready. And by the sophomore year, we thought he was ready, but we shipped it down and we left it there for the summer.
We stored it.
We stored it. We didn't bring it home.
Yeah, so we stored it, you know, covered and everything. And the one thing I wanted to mention about freshman year too, we started realizing that it would be helpful to have a car because of the places like shopping, Sam's, whatever that you need to get to, and the Apple store to get his computer repaired and his iPhone repaired. He had to rely on friends who were local in order to get him to the mall in order to get to these places. So as a freshman, that is okay, but definitely I think as you move into your sophomore years as an upperclassman, if you can, it would be great to have a vehicle if it's available.
But again, he did rely on his freshman year. His friends were great. I mean, the local Louisiana folks and the Texas folks and all those other, deep Southerners were really friendly and helped him a lot, get around and do things he needed to do. I mean, he had friends who ended up picking him up. He rode the megabus to New Orleans and back for the national championship game, and he showed up back in Baton Rouge at the bus station at about 2:00 in the morning, and he had friends who came and got him.
So that's
the way LSU has been. They really wrapped their arms around him. So.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for that little segue into the car situation. I want to go back to our other topics though, and jump into how has your relationship with your Tiger changed now that they're here at LSU and they've been here for a little while and they're adjusted, and what is your role like now as a parent? So I will start with Paul.
I would say independence and spectator are probably the two best descriptions for us. No, I mean, she really has, become independent, through the process. I mean, she's third year. So, her, she loves LSU. She loves the campus. She loves her friends. And she definitely misses that, when she's away from it. She misses us when she's at school. So, it's a little bit of both. But really, our role, hasn't really changed a whole lot. It's just, different as far as, just day to day. I mean, we're still 100% support and, help whenever needed, but kind of let her do her thing at the same time. So she's an adult. She turns 20 tomorrow, so which is crazy, but so we got to celebrate it with her over the weekend. Came home for an early trip because of the hurricane, which was nice. But yeah, I mean, she really has become independent through the process, and I think that's something you just have to respect. Especially when you get into year 2 and 3. The first year, is you watch them a little bit closer just to make sure they're making the right choices and doing the right things. But in the end, they're kind of creating their next chapter in life. So you got to give them the freedom to be able to do that, and just be there for them when they need it. So they're still going to need you. It's just a matter of how much and how often, and just be there to help whenever you can. But I mean, it's really, again, her becoming more of an adult and doing more adult things. And so that's kind of how the relationship has changed for us over the last 3 years.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Ellen, how has, your role changed, especially sending your last off to college?
Well, I noticed that our conversations are different. For instance, this last year, he wanted to buy a boat. I didn't think it was a good idea. I wanted to say, no, you can't get a boat. But instead, we just approached it like, okay, that's going to pretty much wipe out your money that you just kind of point out things to them. I'm like, you can do it, but it's going to wipe out your money. And then you're going to have to keep making money to repair the boat. And, you have to pay for the gas and, just pointing these things out. I'm like, he bought the boat, and he's got the boat. But I just find that instead we just try to point out to them not in a, we weren't saying you can or you can't, but instead just saying, this is some of the things you ought to think about. It's your decision, but this is some of the things you ought to think about. So I think we kind of are more like counseling them rather than parenting them. Before I think we would tell them, no, that's not a good idea. Or, yes, that's a good idea. And now it's more, these are things you ought to think about, and we try to just guide them. So I think that's how it's changed for us.
I like that. You are counseling them for sure. Jackie, what about, your relationship, especially sending Jillian off? How has that changed now that she's here at LSU?
Yeah, it's evolved somewhat. I feel like at first it was me doing a lot of the talking when she would call, and now it is definitely more listening. Both of the girls, they still like to do, I call them post test calls, because after a test they call and they just unload on me, or they just tell me what they can remember from it, or but they do all the talking, and sometimes that's all it is about. But yeah, it's definitely evolved. She's always been independent, but she is she's just even more so. I think like a really good piece of advice is join everything. She's so busy, she barely has time to talk, but it's a good thing. She just join everything, because that kind of like, a freshman year, you don't know everything that's out there. So you have all this extra time, you have extra time to be missing home. But whenever they join all these things, it becomes like, that's their family, that's their new world, that's their new home. And so, yeah, that's how it's evolved. I think just because now she's a sophomore, she's just in a lot of different things and wears a lot of different hats, and she's loving it.
I love to hear that. Thank you. Hetty, what about your relationship, and what do you feel like your role is now?
So I want to just preface by saying that, first of all, I love Jackie because we always say yes to everything that you can. If you say yes to everything at LSU, you will have to stay up 24/7 and stay there for 500 years because there's that much stuff to do. But that's a good problem to have. So selectively say yes, but say yes as much as you can. But I want to preface for all the parents who are on the call tonight that, at this point, trust that you raised great people because they are at one of the greatest universities in this country and you helped to get them there. They've made a lot of good choices to end up where they are. So trust and believe they're going to continue to probably make a lot of good choices. Everyone has moments, we all do, I think my relationship with my son, for what you can expect, we were super, super close. It has evolved completely. I like to look at it now, like I try not to say to him, oh, did you get cups? Did you get plates? Today I was at Walmart and I bought him a bunch of plastic cups and a bunch of plastic plates. And I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to wash these, but I, packed a box to send down and I just said, oh, hey, I was just thinking of you. And I like to keep it kind of like, I'm not trying to be all over you about stuff. It's your life. I don't ask him about cleaning his house, although the moms and I have hired a cleaning lady once a month just to make sure that it's not growing things in the bathtub. But that said, I kind of like to now just look at it like he is this super cool adult person that I happen to have made, and I'm really blessed beyond measure to witness his life. And I know that he's got common sense and a lot of good things instilled in him because he ended up at this school, which I think is a pretty special, phenomenal place. So you can all take great comfort just in that fact. I mean, they've made the biggest decision of their life so far. They made a really good choice. So that speaks volumes, so trust a little bit, know that the relationship is going to change. It's going to become more adult, but it's kind of nice also, and I just kind of try to treat him like my favorite friend now.
I love that. Your favorite friend. Garrick and Sheila, what about y'all's role?
Our roles, they're evolving and they're changing, I think, and mine, it really is becoming for me, as I mentioned before, more of a kind of this father-son thing, right? He calls when he needs advice, whether it's personal advice or whether it's, job advice, or he'll FaceTime me in the middle of the day, or he'll catch me for a minute, he'll text me to ask a question. And that's not on, it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every week. I'm trying really to give him his room to grow and to make a lot of his own decisions. I think I do that too, because I know that mom's helping him make a lot of decisions. But I think, he's this first time he's gotten a job, so he's working now. He's got other kind of things that he's starting to grow into. The other thing I'll mention is that the dynamics changing and evolving between us. I have to remember that I'm going to make a blanket statement, which probably shouldn't be made, but boys can be knuckleheads. I mean, they simply can, right? And so I was a knucklehead. He's Garrick the second, so he's going to be a knucklehead. It's okay. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to do some things wrong. He's got to learn from those things. I've got to be able to tell him that I made some of those mistakes and that he's going to learn from those things, and so I want that to happen for him. And it's really hard for me to let him fall, right? But I need to let him fall sometimes so that he knows how to get himself up. And so that's kind of how another thing I'll mention before I turn it over to Sheila is that the relationship at home has changed, right? I was a second, my brother went off to college, so it was just me and my mom. But he and his sister were close. When he was here, it was, two of us and two of them. And it was, so the dynamic doesn't just change between you and your tiger. The dynamic changed at home too, right? And so it's different. I feel a slightly different role for my daughter since my son is not here every day to be her confidant and different things. So things fill the place when it's supposed to.
So now, as Garrick alluded to, I'm still helping him make some decisions because he is a little bit of a knucklehead sometimes. So it's just I think he's still growing. We know that we're all still growing, but some of the choices that he makes, I can see what's happening by Find My Phone. And so I'll reach out with an encouraging sort of word or a reminder of this is what you should be doing, or remember, you have to leave at this time to get to work on time, and these little things. And so I guess I'm still doing mommy stuff, but I'm trying to do it in a way where I'm not directing him, but sort of giving him the overall picture of things that he needs to do to be successful. So it's a good balance.
Y'all are sharing so much great feedback, and I really appreciate it. I know everyone's keeping the things coming in the chat, so I appreciate that too. We're a little over time, but I want to give us an opportunity for our families who are joining us, our new families, to go ahead and ask other questions. And if you want to ask them live, you can feel free to turn on your camera and unmute yourself, or you can keep putting them in the chat, whatever works best for you. So while y'all think of your questions, I see one in the chat now from Jenny saying, we are from Delaware and our daughter is not happy and already talking about transferring. And maybe y'all have been in these shoes before, because as Paul alluded earlier, those first 3 to 4 weeks can be the hardest. And for some students, it takes an entire semester. And so, how do I help encourage her to stay while keeping an open conversation about the possibility of transferring? Do any of our panelists have anything to share about that?
I can jump right in. I mean, I think, based on what they've gone through in the last couple of weeks, it's early, at this point, and she's already had a rough road, as well as everybody else on campus. We intentionally didn't have her work the first semester and didn't overload her on classes, either, just so she could have enough time to do other things, get to know folks, get involved in other programs. And so she did sign language, group and a couple other groups, and got to know people. The dorm environment, again, they were only there for 2 weeks, but provides a great opportunity, to get to know other students and develop friends as well. So I'd give it a little bit of time. On the flip side, though, is, I hate to say it, I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea either. So she might not, find her way as a tiger, but there's plenty of opportunities to do that for sure, and just give her time and encourage her. Our daughter, she had a tough go. I think for the first couple of weeks, she was there because she didn't know anybody, and it, was apprehensive, just not knowing anybody and brand new campus. But she loved the campus, fell in love with it when she visited it. So, you know, I know a few of the other parents have said it, but just get them involved in as much as they can, whether it's social or it's educational related, and, you know, try not to do too much, you know, on the school stuff, because that can be stressful and they feel like they have to focus all their energy. I mean, our daughter was spending a lot of time, even with limited classes. I think she had 12 hours the first semester, just because she was so worried about, you know, getting good grades. And we're like, you know, just do your best, and that's all we can ask for. And but take some time for yourself too.
And Lindsay already knows I'm like the pro Greek one on the panel. So I'll just throw in on that real quick and just say that, you know, the Greek system is an excellent option. Whether you think it's for you, not for you, you can easily have your son or daughter go through recruitment. There's even informal recruitment now, which is a little bit, you know, more relaxed. And a lot of houses will have informal recruitment in the spring. Formal recruitment has ended, but they could still do informal. And I have to tell you that Rocco went to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, not knowing not one single person. And a week into being there, he had 60 best friends, and the guys are still his best friends. And he lives, you know, off campus now with a couple of the guys. I'm friends with all the moms. It's a great way for you to also meet other parents, you know. So there's a number of ways for you to interact, be it through family association, family council, mom groups in fraternities or sororities. But it's a great way for them to find their people too, you know. So don't close your mind to that option. Definitely look into it. And obviously, if anybody wants more information on that, you can definitely reach out to me. I'll put my phone number in the chat.
And I will mention too that the Divine Nine system is a little bit different, so you might want to look into that. If they're interested, they can student services can help them out and some other stuff. But there's a slightly different timing if folks want to join one of the what's called the Divine Nine.
And the Divine Nine's really strong at LSU as well.
So.
And I just wanted to comment on the parent whose child is wanting to transfer already. I think you just have to remind them that it was a bumpy start with Ida. Things are not, it's not normal. Even our son,
finding motivation.
Yeah, he kind of lost his motivation a little bit during the week. I mean, he got ahead on some of his classwork, but then that was it, because LSU was closed down for a week. And so it was a struggle even for upperclassmen. So this is a trying time, and they're now just starting to get back into the groove. And so maybe I don't know if it was a he or she, but just be open to the fact that things are going to get better. Things are going to look more normal. And try to get involved with as many activities as possible. Just try to meet people in different organizations and things like that. And that's when you begin to feel a sense of community. And also, you know, the LSU football team. I mean, start going to the games and start, you know, when they're home games and things like that, and other sports and things like that. And that just maybe will get her excited, get he or she excited. And, you know, that's just a start to help them feel better about it.
Absolutely. I love that y'all brought all of that up. So actually our next Tiger Family Talks will be held on September 14th. So next Tuesday. And our topic is all about this: how to support your tiger with the transition. So we've talked tonight about how to support you. Next week, we want to talk about your tiger. So those feelings of homesickness or maybe roommate issues or whatever, you know, academic transitions they're having. We want to talk about all those topics and really give you lots of great resources. So tell your tiger to hang on for us. It is still so new. This is so normal. Way more people than she thinks are going through a similar experience. It is very normal, and we're going to dive into that. So join us next week at 6 p.m. Central Time as well for that topic. And there's also been some great advice in the chat as well. I see, I think we had a couple of questions. And so if we don't get to all of them, please email us. We want to get to those. Rodney asks, how do we balance not being helicopter parents and encourage our student to go to the Student Center for Success, as we suspect she may have some issues with note-taking and adjusting to campus life and course load as a freshman? So let me make that statement a little broader, or that question. You know, how do you not be a helicopter parent, but direct your tiger to utilize the great resources that LSU has?
I think that, as I kind of mentioned, is that you kind of offer your advice, but do it in a way where you kind of say, it's your decision, which it is at this point, and kind of let them kind of make it their idea, where you can say, hey, I was talking to this other parent and I heard about this, success. I'm sorry, the campus, what is it called? The campus.
The Center for Academic
Center for
Success.
Center for the
Mhm.
Center for Academic Success, but maybe just kind of throw it out there, and then it'll get kind of stuck in their head, and they may think, oh, maybe that'd be a good idea. But if you just start planting seeds instead of saying you need to do this, instead just kind of give them ideas, I think works best with my kids. If I try to tell them what to do, you can guarantee they're not going to do it.
You have
But-
to, I also think sometimes, and I think Ellen's right, you kind of gotta, the one thing I've told people, and we did in some of the earlier programs, is your child, right? And you know what they need. You know what they needed in high school. Some of them were very independent, some of them weren't. Our son is extremely bright, and extremely stubborn. He's a lot like his parents, right? And so getting him to go seek help, it needed some constant reinforcement, right? His scheduling and time management weren't the strengths. They're not my strengths, but they weren't his strengths. And so it was kind of like we had to kind of constantly remind him to get him to finally go to to sit down with somebody and go over a schedule and go over these things. His mom had helped him make out a schedule, which was great, but he had to go to somebody else to kind of help validate that, right? So we just had to so I think you gotta be comfortable that your child and what they need, whether they need to be pushed hard, whether they need to be, given kind of a soft pedal, whether honestly you make a suggestion and they're gonna kind of, fish for it, there are a couple of times when, and Reese is fine with it, there are a couple of times when I've said to him, just the two of us were talking, I've said, look, boy, this is you made it there, right? But you got to work to stay there. That's right. It's not easy. That your job, his mom always reminds him, your job is being a student. And so go get it done.
Yes. And if you have a mathematical thinker like my son, Rocco, it's perfectly fine to say to them, you have to get a 3.0, which is specifically the language that we used. Rocco was a straight A student coming out of high school. Many of your kids are the same way. Every award in sports, and now they're a little fish in a big pond, maybe they were a big fish before. And so it was perfectly fine to really put a number on it and say 3.0. And that was a great number for us because scholarships, if you do a 3+3 program, if you're looking for any furthering programs at LSU, you're right in that zone. That 3.0 is a great number when, and it worked. He was Dean's List, and so I think that that's a great way if you have a mathematical thinker who's very specific,
Thank y'all so much. I like that mathematical thinker. We're getting lots of great thanks and praise in the chat for all of our panelists for sharing such great feedback. So I want to thank y'all. If anybody has any other questions, we encourage you to join us next week for our Tiger Family Talks, or email us lsufamily@lsu.edu. I am sorry we couldn't get to more questions tonight. But we really enjoyed having you. I hope that this session helped. We will be posting a recording on our YouTube if you weren't able to catch the whole thing. And as always, if you want to connect with any of our panelists directly to continue these conversations, they are here. They want to help you. They love talking to our new families. So reach out to our office. We'll continue the conversation. Call us if you want to talk to me or Carly, who's been really helpful in the chat tonight. We're all here to support you. We're all here to support your tiger. We're one big family. And so we want to connect. I promise you that. Thank y'all so much. I want to do just a little bit of a few housekeeping things. So I'm going to share my screen again. here are some things that we put for our webinar recap of some of the topics that we've talked about tonight. And so you can take a look at those, based on what we talked about. We didn't really get to touch on this. We didn't have a lot of time. It was number 6, start planning for the next time you'll see them. So we'd love for you to come join us for our family weekend. It's going to be held November 12th through the 14th. And registration has been pushed back 2 weeks. So our registration is going to open for our family association members on Thursday, September 23rd, and registration will open for any family on Thursday, September 30th. So look out for those emails. We'd love for you to join us. If you want to come sooner, please, if you're coming maybe for the game this weekend, our first home game versus McNeese, we'd love to see you. It's going to be a fun time, but really what we feel like helps Tigers is when their families can come visit them on campus if you are able. And give yourself credit. We wanted to focus on that too. Number 8 is you've gotten them here. I loved how Hetty really reiterated that LSU is a special place and your Tiger chose a wonderful place, but you helped them get here and you made this all possible. So we want to thank you for everything you've done to prepare them for this journey. We mentioned it, but our fall webinar series, we'll put it again in the chat. So please join us. We have lots of great topics coming up in addition to the one next Tuesday, September 14th at 6 p.m., all about the transition for your Tiger. We're going to be talking about academic support. We're going to be talking about scheduling. We're going to do one with our Greek team and so much more. So join us for those all fall and get excited for more Tiger Family Talks. And then if you haven't considered it yet, please join the LSU Family Association. We have talked about it a lot tonight as an opportunity for you to get involved and to make the most of your experience here as a part of the Tiger family. If you have any questions, all of our panelists can talk about it. They are all members of the Family Association, and they are also all members of our Family Council. Our deadline to apply for the Family Council is this Friday, September 10th. And if you're looking for more information, let us know. And then we do have a short little QR code, a short little survey we'd love for you to fill out just to give us some quick feedback about your experience tonight. So you can use the QR code on the screen or you can follow the link in the chat, but it's 5 short questions, super easy, takes 2 seconds, but it helps us with planning and making sure that we're continuing to provide the best content to all of our new Tiger families to keep you guys engaged and feel supported. I hope everybody got that link. And then finally, connect with us. We keep saying it, but email us, call us, whatever we can do to assist you. We are here and so excited for this year. It's going to be a great one. We're looking up from here. We're excited. So thank you again to our panelists who served. Let's give them just a little round of applause. They were awesome. Thank you to our Tiger families. And of course, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
I love it. Thanks, Sam. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Good seeing you in your purple and gold, Sam.
Always.
Go
Love
Tigers.
I love
Purple
it.
and gold for LSU and for the fraternity. So there you go.
All right.
Very good. I love that.
Y'all are the best. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great night. Email us if we didn't get to your question or if you want to continue these conversations and connect with the panelists.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Please reach
Bye.
out. Thank you.
Bye, my fave council people.
And we'll stop recording now as well.
Bye, family.
Stop there.